Hey there. Today we're on the next chapter of Luke, Luke chapter 6, verses 1 through 5. On one Sabbath, while Jesus was walking through the grain fields, his disciples plucked and ate some heads of grain, rubbing them in their hands. But some of the Pharisees said, "Why are you doing what is not lawful to do on the Sabbath?" Jesus answered them, "Have you not read what David did when he was hungry, he and those who were with him? How he entered the house of God and took and ate the bread of the presence, which is not lawful for any but the priest to eat, and also gave it to those with him. And he said to them, 'The Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath.'" Now there's a couple things here. One is that the idea of the Sabbath included preparing all the food you were going to eat on the Sabbath ahead of time, so that you weren't working on the Sabbath, so you weren't engaged in it. And they didn't have microwaves back then, so the idea of preparing food is a big, long process. Remember, everything is prepared fresh from scratch, and so in the Sabbath laws, one of the things they were supposed to do is prepare their food ahead of time, so that they didn't have to do the work of all the food preparation on the Sabbath. And the idea, the rules that had been built around the Sabbath, there's the Sabbath rules that are in the Scriptures, and then the Torah, and then there's these other documents that are filled with interpretations of the Torah that provide special rules for all sorts of circumstances that you might be able to imagine about what one should do on the Sabbath that might or might not constitute work, and it included like the number of steps you could take and all that kind of thing. And one of the things that evidently here is the idea of plucking some grain while you're walking, and I imagine that it's probably the rubbing of the grain in their hands to remove the outer chaff so they could get to the wheat kernel. I think that rubbing the grain in their hands constituted meal preparation, which was forbidden on the Sabbath. And so one of the things is that just the nitpicky nature of what's going on here anyways, because of the extent to which rules about the rules had been developed. But the more important thing here is Jesus talks about a time when David and his band of men actually ate the bread of the presence, which is the bread on the altar, back in David's day. And then he says the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. In one of the other Gospels, Jesus says the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath. And that's the thing that I think is worth talking about for a moment on this passage, is that the rules, we don't serve the rules serve us. And that does two things. It gives us a great deal of freedom, but it also gives us a great deal of responsibility. The freedom it gives us is to not be judged by the rules. And here Jesus is saying, the disciples are not to be judged by whether or not they do a little meal prep on the Sabbath to the extent of rubbing some grain in their hands. The rules are there for us. The Sabbath is there for us to have a day where we cease working, because we need that. But it's there as a gift to us to stop working for one day a week, to spend one day a week thinking about it, worshiping God, and being more of who we are, not just working persons, but who we really are in God, and for Christians in Christ, and also in our families and our neighborhoods and our communities. So in the one sense, the rules are only there to serve us. They're not there to be our master. But the flip side of that is the rules are there to serve us, even if we don't even understand exactly why they're there. And when we're kids, what do our parents say? You'll understand someday why you have to do this, right? Well, God, I think, would probably tell us the same thing about some of the rules that we don't understand, like taking a Sabbath. He would tell us, you will understand someday. So the rules are there not to make us feel guilty, but they are we don't serve them. The rules, those kind of things serve us. But on the other hand, just because they're our servant, not our master, doesn't make us free to disregard them willy-nilly, because they are there to serve us, and all those traditions and things are there for a reason, and should be thoughtfully considered and worked through. So there it is, Luke chapter 6, verses 1 through 5. Have a great day.